Um, my name is Ramona Laughingbrook Schuster Webb. My birth name is Laughingbrook. I'm Afro Creek Muskogee. I descend from the Pleasant Porter line of Creek Muskogee folks. And yeah, this first piece that I'm going to share is about my grandmother. It's from a larger piece called A Dream World of Memory from the Book of Corinne. And it's about my experience with her and Alzheimer's. It's called Losing. I watch the softness fade with the whisper of time across her face, and I know time has abandoned the forgiveness of memory and has forgotten her wrinkles instead. I watched as time carried her home. What good eating, good loving, good Creek medicine, good wifing, and good child rearing have brought her? It brought her time. Relieved of its concept and time brought Alzheimer's. So the way she saw the world shook memories like loose floorboards in a hurricane, lost at the speed of hostile wind, making ammunition out of her foundation. They say there is no logic to it. They say you don't remember, but you do. Thelma, Thelma, you remember my old boyfriend, Lawrence Lackey? Remember when he drove up to my dorm at Langston to try to stop me from marrying Louis? Louis was furious. Lawrence thought I knew that he was going to propose right after medical school. Now, how was I supposed to know that? Can you imagine? My name could have been Corinne Perriman Lackey instead of Corinne Perriman Schuster. Far better, I think. The stories are abrupt. Mostly with great Aunt Thelma, I like learning you this way. This way I got to know all your secrets and all your business that you never would have dared to tell me had you been in your right mind. Every date and every person that you had left out of your history, we now knew about. I like learning you this way as your granddaughter, who sometimes was seen as your sister and sometimes seen as my mother and sometimes seen as your best friend. But long as you recognize me, being one of your loved ones was all that mattered. She always tried to get me to stay. Only time I ever saw you cry is when visiting hours were over. You remember, just far more festively than before, like your hair stories. How your mother used to use her deep brown hands to comb and braid your black Indian hair. See, hair time was a woman family thing. It taught about boys and men and what a lady does and does not do, periods, prides, and proms, cooking, and wedding stories. I mean, I remember you telling me about Grandpapa's proposal outside, down on one knee, in front of his brand new car. You just taken your first job and he was a professor at the same university and you'd never met anybody so smooth and well-traveled. Just because the memories are out of order doesn't mean they don't exist. The God's mysterious hammer interferes with our romanticized ideas about death and dying, and judgment rains down with passion, and the sounds of your life become as clear and as quaking earth. Like love wrapped in silk melted over resistance, and because modern medicine didn't understand you, they drugged you. So you'll sleep and not speak, sit and not stand, believe and not dream. And though vanity is not an even exchange, still I find reassurance knowing that though at your age I may lose my grace, my interpretation and my comfort, but like you, I will do it looking real good. And as you fell deeper into darkness, I wondered how long it would be before you'd no longer know my name. When that sudden slap of realization, your eyes would not appear for me, and I would become as tragic and strange as your midday meal in a home of nursing prepared by well-paid hands who sometimes cared about your living. Time, how cruel your intentions, body, how unrelenting, and me, how regretful. I should have been writing your story a long time ago. A dream world of memory from the Book of Corinne. Thank you. So in this next piece, one of the things that have become really important to me is the fight against sexual violence and sexual abuse, especially as it concerns women and women of color very particularly. Quote, in the United States, violence against indigenous women has reached unprecedented levels on tribal lands and in Alaska Native villages. More than 4 in 5 American Indian and Alaskan Native women have experienced violence, and more than 1 in 2 have experienced sexual violence. Though available data is limited, the number of missing and murdered American Indian and Alaskan Native women and the lack of diligent and adequate federal response is extremely alarming to Indigenous women, tribal governments, and communities. On some reservations, Indigenous women are murdered at more than 10 times the national average. When I discovered these kinds of statistics, it was during the time where I was preparing for my own rape trial. I played my own attorney. And I actually went all the way to trial. And one of the reasons that I did it was to raise the statistic, to raise the awareness. I wrote a show called How to Catch a Rapist in 12 Parts to chronicle the journey of my experience of going from filling out that first police report, which was in Lexington, Kentucky, to prosecuting a case from California that actually went to trial. I did win, but I won in first degree. I didn't get what I had gone after, but I made the point. I raised a statistic. I went all the way to the end, and I'm a better person for it. And I'm grateful to be able to share stories that you can survive and that it is completely possible. My case was 20 years old, and I produced all of my own evidence, including an actual confession. So, all right, thanks. And so this piece is entitled Survivor of Rape. Do I have to hold this? Oh, yeah, okay, no worries. I'm there. Vagina, beaten and scarred. Internal touch reached too far, jagged edges plunge, sticky, not slippery doom, soon filled with transition and transmission of baby bites to remember you by. Fertile fires cry no. You don't know what it feels like to be raped by you. You, still looking to be a victim too. I too now bear your scars of dirty drinking and dirty thinking, not of my remorse. See, your loose habits brought me genital scars. You, too high to remember. Your face filled now with pain and regret. Mine no longer anger, let go. Pill addiction, throat chokes with pills, and nobody knows my secret. No, nobody knows my secret. No, nobody knows my secret. Internal chunks of nothing fill the grass, and God refuses my offer. Mental scars begin. Bitches and whores, I became myself to blame. These your blaring whispers. If I can't have you, no one can. Promises, promises. Now, no one will. Raped and hated. Blame falls with loud hellos. Fuck you, too late, bitch. I love you. Apology accepted. I now sipping bag bottles more than now and again. Cancer stick addict becomes me. Mama's warning's true. If you play with trash, you'll get it in your eye. Smash through walls, trying to fight you. Broken apologies, and I love you. But forgiveness for those who have not sinned, keep you from behind bars. I now filled with regret and regression. Learned the lesson the hard way. Still stuck in your pane glass illusion box. See, it was a back alley, a backseat coaxing a little girl. First refusal, fifth hits truth, no black eye explanation wanted. Too late, decline fear. The breath hot upon me, dress slipped, arms pinned in your chest. I could not remove you. Painful plunges and promises of one more minute, one more minute, one more minute, one more minute. Time split like my vagina. Time lost, minutes, maybe hours seemed. Regret, so much regret. Knife still slashing my womb, and I die. And I die. And I die. And I die. You cuddle and console my blooded remains, puco eyes now shamed at endeavor. Not a cum-stained rubber creates no illusion, cause see you say it first in amazement with damn, I just raped you, but I am dead and do not hear you. Many short apologies soon follow, many dirty, angry showers trying to erase dirty, angry fingerprints all over, but I have not forgotten your slay of my soul. And your tormentous guilt gives me no pleasure. Because of you, I have climbed from the pit of death's stomach and poured life back into my Godhead embryo, born into knowledge of self now for an eternity you yet to conceive. For the road less traveled is lonely and cold, but with redemption at her meet, and I shall know a greater joy, for I have known a greater pain, for I no longer even fear you. You are now a mere conclusion in my lifetime, so now I have decided to press charges against you. And it all began when I stopped being a victim and became a survivor of rape. Now, bitch, I love me too. Thanks. It's okay. Thank you. And in this final poem, am I okay on time? Okay. And this final piece. So I grew up in the South, if you can't tell by some of the twang that comes out in my poetry, from the very deep South, and a lot of my work is very from that perspective. Louisiana, to be specific, and One of the things that I've been asked a lot lately is what was it like when I began the Baton Rouge Poetry Alliance, which is now 22 years old. And it was an organization that was started, founded by myself and Chancellor Zero Skidmore, my co-founder. And we sat as president and vice president for 9 years and built a community that way. It was an organization of community poets that came together to do this work in community. And now the city is a very different place because of the work that we did in queer community, because of the work that we did around race and integration, because it is a very, very segregated state. Don't ever let the news make you believe anything else. It is a very segregated state even now, but our art scene and our music scene, when I look at the young people who come out of my very particular community who are queer and Black and brown and an array of being supported and being able to be out and be funded, I feel like it's all worth it. And so this is a story that's also a bit of a poem. And it's called Holy Babble. Was it worth it? In the beginning, queerness and poetry did not hold hands. Poetry was from an upper whiter posture of Louisiana Bayou, Cajun, not Creole. There is a difference. A very big difference. Louisiana is full of difference. Cradled in her weeping willow, the rings will tell you, we do not like change here. In fact, in the beginning of our beginning, queer was just a slur and gay was just not for poets, especially if you be Black or you be brown or you be woman or you be kind or you be Southernite or otherwise. They were not allowed not to be loud or seen or heard or prayed. Yes, I said pray. Not with the gayness on your breath, not that Catholic nor Christian. Your abomination are to be silent here. There was no room for atheist or agnostic or exemption. No, there was religious persecution. You were just guilty and shunned and shut up. So when I came out, it was a bungled accident. A guilty by association stumble into my first gay bar, the only gay bar for Black and brown queers in the entire state. I took 2 sweaty palm knock-kneed steps inside, and the madam herself, Miss Kiki, yelled to the crowd, "Mona Webb, I see you now." And I was out and outed. So at the next Eclectic Truth open mic poetry reading, I took the stage to host, and as my eyes gazed over the audience, I realized that the first 3 rows were all queers, women of color. None of them did I even know. They were just all faithful, dressed like church, palms pressed like steeples rung with presents. Here, our forgiveness is palpable, hoping to be accepted, hoping to be tolerated, hoping to be safe, hoping to have a good time. From the bars and beyond, it was said that there was a show run by a colored lesbian they could take their girlfriends to and be safe. We lost other audience members, and I lost friends, organizations, I even lost a job. And in fear of the gay spirit that I was accused of curating, not to mention my agnostic co-host Zero, we were hell in a handbasket in the city. But on our stage, the stage Zero and I crafted as a lavender love letter to poets and musicians, the home of the Poetry Alliance was built, is where the integration of people began with a movement to integrate poetry, make them strain, make them chew glass, but Black and white people will sit together. Queer people, brown people, straight people in our reading did learn to sit together, to perform together, to be on a slam team together, to finally eat together, to then travel together, and later to support our community together. It is a fact that Zero Skidmore and I were the first people of color to make the Louisiana Poetry Slam team. I was the first queer. This was a lonely place. This was a place where bottles were thrown from pickup trucks at my girlfriend and I's clasped hands. This was a place of fear and fight, of loving and courage, of baseball bats in the trunk just in case. To make sure the Poetry Slam team, we swallowed nigger, slipped into white poets' tongues to our faces, ground my teeth at every faggot and dyke reference. We had to win in their venue, in their house, with their judges to prove we were born worthy, brilliant, and absolutely necessary. Now when I go home to Louisiana, they ask me what was it like then? Like it was that long ago. Like that one show, like that one time, that show that me and James drove to Valdosta, Georgia at Valdosta State University. We got lost on the way home. This is before GPS, before cell phones, before MapQuest, just when you and a triptych from AAA and a flashlight. See, we were excited. It was our first college gig, and we got lost on the way home. And it was late, and there we were in a sundown town. Does anybody know what a sundown town is? All right, and so I turned off the lights and cruised real slow. Saw a gas station, only one for 20 miles. It was on a hill, and yeah, I saw the pickup trucks and the gun racks and the Confederate flags, but I thought nothing, it's Georgia heat. I told James, you're passively like, passe blanc, in fact. If I don't come back in 5 minutes, leave me. He said no. I said, they'll never find our bodies here. Leave me and get help. Don't just leave me alone. I walked in, peeling the store with silence. I suddenly realized this was a room full of white men. This was a Klan meeting. I put my hands in the air and said, I just want to know which way the interstate is. The man behind the counter pointed with his breath. I backed away slowly, ran to the car, and drove real deliberate towards the road ahead. I told James, I think we just interrupted a Klan meeting. Now the lights of the pickup trucks were in guns in the rearview mirrors. The cars that swung around, they were all in my rearview mirror. I was watching myself, watching this like a Duke of Hazzard's episode. They were running me down, trying to run us off the road. I hit the gas so hard, this botch into a ditch. I yelled out, you're gonna have to catch me first. Never drove my Mitsubishi so fast, foot to the floor, too fast to see anything but colors. But I'd rather a car accident than well, anything they do, lynch, rape, shoot, we made it to the interstate. Now I go home to Louisiana to watch youth and adults, openly gay, openly agnostic, openly beautiful, unapologetically colored. And whenever you now find poetry or live music or Mardi Gras down with the Michael Foster Project, you will find family, you will find comfort, you will find love, you will find acceptance, you will find joy. And now when they ask me if what we endured in this movement in Baton Rouge, Louisiana was worth it, I tell them we were always worthy. Thank you. Thank you.